Welcome back to another episode of the Pink Juice podcast. Guys, we're on episode 7. What the hell has happened and how did we get there? I am going to talk about dating apps today, and I feel like this needs to be like an introduction to the debate of the dating app world, because this topic, I feel like everyone, I don't know, I could talk about for hours, and I feel like most people who are dating could probably talk about it for hours too, but I think it's a big one. So I feel like I'm going to talk about it because I just want to begin the conversation, and then I will probably do more episodes because there is so much to be said about this topic, honestly. And yeah, dating apps are wild. I feel like we are living in this world where there is so much happening online and not as much offline that, yeah, people are losing their minds. I'm losing my mind. I love in-person connections, but I also know that I can understand the value of the dating app world. And I feel like dating apps are like not that serious, not that deep, but at the same time they kind of are. So I am currently in my confident, playful dating era. Like if my husband turned up tomorrow, great. If he turns up in a year, also great. But this is the era that I'm in, and I am obsessed with this era. And I think this is why I'm kind of enjoying the dating app world at the moment, because I'm not thinking too deeply about it, which is, I guess, how it should be. I'm open to connections. I'm not chasing a husband. I'm not chasing my man. Actually, I think I've been chasing for too long in the past, and it's made me miserable. So now I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna have fun. I'm not forcing anything, and that's the most important thing. What dating apps do I use? I think this is just going to be a dating app chat with no real structure, but I'm going to start with what dating apps I use, why, and how. So I don't use Tinder. I don't know why, but Tinder is giving like young vibes, young people. Might be wrong, but I don't know. There's just something about Tinder that gives me the ick. I think it's because when I first moved to Thailand, it was literally just backpacker boys after backpacker boys. So I've just associated with that, and now the app just gives me a bit of an ick. I don't use Bumble. I love the concept of Bumble, but Bumble to me, every time I go on the app, I'm overstimulated, and I think there's just the user experience is not very easy or friendly. It's like there's too many buttons, too much going on, too many notifications. I have to figure out what I'm doing. I'm confused. I just don't belong there. I don't use Raya, but I will be using Raya. I want to use Raya. I think right now I've got imposter syndrome using Raya, but I want to use Raya. I'm going to get myself on Raya. So right now, the only dating app that I use is Hinge. And I love Hinge. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I really like Hinge. I really, really enjoy Hinge. I love the prompts. I think the prompts just do it for me. And I think it just gives people a little bit more character and just gives people more essence rather than like, oh, it's just another dating app. Do you know what I mean? With some photos. So I love Hinge. I just love it. I really like it. Well, I wouldn't say love, but I do enjoy using Hinge. Yeah, the user experience for me on Hinge is just easy, and for me, that's what I need. I want ease. I want my connections to feel easy, be easy, breezy. But yeah, that's why I use Hinge basically. And I feel like my nervous system just responds so much better to Hinge. It's just plain black and white, pretty much. There's no horrible colors flying at me. It's just so simple and easy to use. So my intention with the apps at the moment, so in the past I forced myself to use apps because I had this like, well, I should be using them, everyone's telling me to use them. And I think what then happened was I really didn't enjoy the experience, and it really knocked my confidence because I was triggered by very, very small things, and my headspace wasn't in the dating app space. I wasn't in the mindset of using an app, whereas now I'm in like my fun, flirty, confident era. And I'm not taking anything really personally. I'm just treating whatever happens on the dating app as data, as information. And I'm trying to not think too much about it. Whereas in the past, because I was so focused on like, oh my God, I want to find my husband. I want to find my partner. I'm lonely. It just wasn't a very good experience for me. And it always triggered me a lot more, that made me feel more confident. And also I was in like a very long 3-year situationship. So when, even when I wasn't with the person and we'd had like a 6-month break or whatever, he was still at the back of my mind. And I think it was really hard to give the dating app focus and priority because he was so much in the back of my mind. So that was a real struggle, and I didn't really have that confidence as well, because anyway, the situation episode is gonna come at some point. It's gonna come. So yeah, no wonder, like, they just felt misaligned. They weren't very intentional. They drained my energy, felt more like a chore. And I think when it feels like that, that is when you shouldn't use dating apps. Because I think the more you force yourself to do something you're not going to enjoy energetically, you're also not putting your best self out there. So you'll probably end up attracting that. You'll attract people that are also a little bit like that. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm attracting, all these men that aren't aligned with me, that I don't want. And it's like, well, no wonder. Right now, I even have in my bio, I'm looking for, my Hinge right now says, I'm looking for, open to finding my partner. Wait, I actually don't know what it says. My Hinge right now says, I'm looking for, open to connections and seeing where the vibes go. That is me on Hinge right now, guys. But yeah, I'm open to meeting my husband. If he's there, if he comes tomorrow, great. If not, also great. That's fine. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this era that I'm in. And I think, yeah, mindset when it comes to dating apps is incredibly important, because also, like, your intention is just going to shape your experience. If you're begging for a husband, the universe is going to just be like, she needs to calm down a little bit, she's going to relax, we're not going to give her that, we're just going to throw her a load of lessons her way, and it might be triggering for you. So yeah, for me, if it feels like a chore, I don't scroll, I don't use them. I only use the dating apps if I'm in a good mental space. I can get very easily drained if I'm not mentally present, or if my energy isn't there, if I've got a lot to do with work. Also, I don't want to give someone like 20%. I want to give them a little bit more, because ultimately I feel like I would be doing a disservice to them and me. So I do want to give them a little bit more. And if I'm not capable of giving that at that moment in time, then I just feel like it's kind of no point. But oh God, honestly, sometimes I just want a bit of a laugh as well. Like, it sounds awful, but there are some funny characters out there, and like, we shouldn't laugh at people, but actually, whatever, it's not that deep. I'm sure people laugh at me. There's just some funny characters out on Hinge, honestly. Can we please make a petition? Hinge, if you're listening to this right now, please let's make a petition to not allow any man on Hinge to upload a photo of him with a big fat fish. Let's just please get rid of that. It's the biggest turn off I've ever seen on Hinge. Humor that you can get from Hinge sometimes is also a coping mechanism as to it being a disaster at times. But yeah, I definitely have some icks when it comes to Hinge. The fish photos, why? I need to know why. What possesses a man to upload a picture of a fish? I don't get it. Also, me and my best friend, and it's a photo of them, a dog. This is going to sound so dramatic, but I am very against dating men who have a dog. And I'm going to give my reasons for why. I might be closing myself off to potential connections. I would be open to meeting and going on a date with a guy with a dog, but I would have to seriously vet him. But a dog to me is like, you are committed to the dog. If you want to travel, what do you do with the dog? Where is the dog? Because I'm not going to be like adapting my life around a dog. The reason I don't have any pets is because I travel so much. That's a big value of mine, and it probably always will be. I'm not, like, a dog is a big responsibility. So I guess in a way, okay, that shows he can look after a dog. But also, if he is a single man and he's attached to that dog, I'm not going to be the priority. The dog is going to be the priority. And that is just like my thought process behind it. And I think it might be crazy that I think that, but I just can't. I've never been able to connect with a man who has a dog. Cat maybe, but dog, no. I just can't. Also, another ick of mine, and this one is going to be so savage, but on Hinge, when they write an essay for the prompt. This is going to sound so savage, but I feel like your Hinge profile is almost like your CV. You need to make the best bits about you stand out, and you need to hook people in. Like, why should they engage in a conversation with you aside from the photos? Which is why I think prompts are so important, because they give people a little taste of your personality, what you're like as a person. And then the text messaging stage is kind of like the interview phone call, except it happens over text. And then the date is the interview. And then you either you either get the job or you don't. And by getting the job, I mean, you go on to the next phase, which is date number 2, date number 3. And then if you get the job, you're hired. You're my boyfriend, you know? So I feel like people just need to, like, I don't want to sit there and read through paragraphs. But maybe that's also because of the stage that I'm in. So I'm instantly drawn to like banter, funniness, little bit of vulnerability, something I know I can connect with someone, flirtiness, confidence. So I think maybe I'm just looking for that because that's the stage that I'm in, whereas someone else might love the paragraphs. Whereas for me, it's like, oh my God, you're trying to bore me out here. Oh, it's like, I don't want your dissertation. Your profile is meant to be like a CV. Hook me in, entice me. Another Hinge ick is, why are you uploading photos of girls? I don't care if it's your sister. I don't care if it's your cousin. I don't care. Why are you uploading photos of girls? There is no excuse for that unless you want them. Actually, this happened recently, guys. This happened recently. So I was scrolling and a guy came up and the first picture was of him and a girl. And then I start scrolling and it was just him and that girl. Him and that girl again. And then I start reading through the prompt and then it says things like, together we could be better as a 3. And I was like, I mean, each to their own. That's not my style. Each to their own. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna match with this person and see what happens because I'm quite intrigued. I'm quite curious. And I matched with them, and then you get that little note, and the note did say like we're traveling as a couple and we're looking for like a third person to join us. And I was like, oh, okay. But you know what? Fair play to them. Fair fucking play for putting themselves out there. Like, I don't think I could do that. It's not something I would do align with me, but fucking hell, fair play. Another Hinge ick is when they upload like voice notes and it's either a voice note that sounds like that's been recorded from the inside of a potato or of them in like a bar and you can like hear music, the club. And I'm just thinking, why are you uploading a voice note when you're in a busy, loud place? Like, why would you do that? Why would you put me through that? Like, what's going through your mind? I don't get it. And you know what? Like, I do actually feel quite bad for men on Hinge or on dating apps because I feel like as girls, like, we have our girls, right? So we can literally just, like, if we go out, if we get dressed up, we can take cute selfies. We've got the girls to get cute pics of us. Like, I literally have, the Canon G7X is there, and I only have one Canon G7X on my Hinge because I do realize those cameras do those cameras are catfishes. Like a Canon, I feel like a catfish every time I use the Canon G7X, but they do make you look so slay. So I'm very careful that I only have one photo that was taken on that camera on my photos, but I feel bad because guys don't have that like photo shoot time, and if they do, it's like the bros that are like posing. So I do feel bad for guys because they just don't have that, like, unless you're like taking selfies. Yeah, it's hard. I feel like it is hard to find. And then when we do find the one guy that has like really, really good photos, like you instantly think he's a catfish because you're like, how has he got all these good photos? He must be a catfish. So I do get it. It is hard for guys, not gonna lie. But I do just think for both men and women, like, people online are a lot more disposable. And it sounds so awful, but like there is a lot of choice. So how do we narrow down the choice? If it's gonna come down to a guy who's got a picture of a fish versus a guy who hasn't, that is sometimes a move that we have to take. And I'm sure guys have an equivalent of that. But yeah, those are kind of my icks. Now, let's talk about the good stuff. Like, what are the green flags for me? Someone who has actually thought about the answers. So you get those answers that are like, this year I really want to travel more, and you're like, okay, yeah, don't we all? And also for me, like, I already travel. I run a travel business, so like if you have to already be a good traveler. That is a non-negotiable for me. But for someone else, fair play, that might be perfect. But for me, that's like, obviously, like, they have to travel a lot. But someone who has genuinely thought about the answers and giving answers that are a little bit different to your generic ones, that to me is like a green flag, something that sparks curiosity. Someone who's got a bit of banter, a bit of funniness, a bit of laughter, and also someone who is clear about what they want. I think clarity is so fucking sexy on dating apps and on the online world, whatever. Like, if you want to take me out on a date, like, and you know what, actually, let's just not talk about Hinge for a second, because I am sick of men sliding into my DMs, replying to my stories, telling me I look cute, look nice, liking all my fucking stories, and yet they still are not capable of asking me out on a date. Like, to fuck with all your crumbs, stop sliding into my DMs and just ask me out on a date. Like, clarity is so fucking sexy, and do it properly as well. Don't just say like, I'm going for a beer tonight, do you want to join? No, I would love to take you on a date. Clarity is so sexy. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so excited to clarity. It's so attracted to clarity. Like, but then like, am I being the one that's asking for too much? No, I am not being the one that's asking for too much. That is just what I value, and I need to remind of myself, like, that's all it is. It's alignment, right? And people that don't, the reason we're attracted to certain things is because they're aligned with us, right? And to me, this is such a vulnerable share, but obviously everyone makes decisions based on looks as well, right? I think there's no denying that. And if you're denying that, you're a liar. Like, we all do, we probably always will, right? But for me, actually, if someone is like not my type or not someone I would usually go for looks wise, but they have something on their profile that sparks curiosity and how they've answered, I will match with them because I'm interested in having that conversation with them. So for me, that's actually important. I think also it creates that emotional attraction and vibe that you might not necessarily have with someone who's like incredibly good looking but then has no essence in their prompts. Like, to me, that is such a turn off when a guy has uploaded all photos that are like 10 out of 10 but his prompts have given no essence to his personality at all, because I know that to me is actually such a big red flag. Like, not even an ick. Like, what actually makes me reply on Hinge? Like, say if we've matched and if someone's put hey, oh my god, there's nothing worse than just hey. I just don't get it. Why would you just put hey? And I'm also not a hey kind of girl. Like, I will, if I was to match with someone or try and speak to someone, like, I would ask them a question about something I've seen in the profile, or be a bit of flirting, bit of banter. I would just never put hey. And sometimes I'll reply hey and I won't get a reply back. But like, what do they expect me to reply? Like, if you've just put hey and I reply hey, that's it, conversation's over. If you've put hey, how you doing? I'll reply hey, I'm good, how are you doing? And they reply I'm good. Yeah, conversation's over. Do we really have to teach people how to communicate in 2025? But yeah, for me, I really struggle to reply to hey. However, if someone is like bold, confident, flirty, if someone has asked me a question and it's a curious question, if someone's made a joke, if someone has replied to my prompt, for me, laughter is very important. I talked about that in the previous episode, that like playfulness, funniness, that is something I've neglected in my previous relationships, and it was something I really missed. So if someone comes at me with that, then that to me is like such an instant green flag. And also, I think the fact that if someone makes a bit of effort, it means like, okay, they are a little bit more interested in you than just the hey guy. What is my communication style on Hinge? Oh, that's an interesting question. So I reply, this sounds awful, but I will reply when I want to. Like, if I'm having an interesting conversation with someone, I'm aware that that conversation is taking place in the background, and I will reply to it when I want to, usually either in the morning or in the evening when I've got my downtime. But I don't make my whole personality throughout the day on it. If we've moved on to WhatsApp, then yeah, I'll reply a little bit more frequently throughout my day. Yeah, and I think that's usually, for me, that's like the perfect natural progression. We match, we speak for 2 to 3 days on Hinge, we get to know each other. You ask me out on a date, you plan a date, and it's a thoughtful date. You thought it through. I don't care if it's £2 coffee or £200 meal. You've thought about it, and we meet. During that time, when we meet, I decide whether you get my Instagram or not. Like, that for me is actually a big thing, Instagram, which I need to talk about. I'm going to talk about. That's a huge, huge boundary for me. In that time, you know, the date, if we've arranged the date and the date is like 3 or 4 days away, you can have my number and we'll chat a little bit more frequently. But that is usually my perfect timeline. And if someone isn't on board with that, then I'm down to adjusting that. But usually it's like, why? What's the reason? But yes, I don't mind moving on to WhatsApp if the energy is right. If I'm vibing with the person, I will move on to WhatsApp. If we're not vibing, then I will wait until we meet in person, if we meet in person. But yeah, Instagram is such a huge boundary of mine, and I don't know what it is about men, right? So you match with them on Hinge and straight away they ask you for your Instagram before they've even asked you how you're doing. And to me, that's like, I get it. People want to check if we're catfishes, but I think like this is something that we all have to just take on the chin with the online dating world and the dating apps, that you know, that there might be a person out there who is a catfish, and that is just something that we have to deal with, learn from that experience and find out for ourselves, right? So I totally get people are so obsessed with this that want to check if that's the real person. But also, like, for me, that's a very big boundary. Like, I share a lot of my life online, and also my business is online. So if I hand that over to someone, they've already got access to that, and I don't feel safe them knowing that. And I know you might, and I know, like, I've had this internal dialogue with myself as well in the past where, well, it's no different than someone finding you on Instagram, right? Well, actually, to me, it is, because when you're going on a dating app, your intention is so different. And I think on a dating app, people are so vulnerable because I don't get seen by everyone on a dating app. Whereas Instagram can reach anyone who's got an Instagram account, right? Whereas not every single person has a Hinge account. And obviously just the social media world is so different. The way I put myself out there, you know, is obviously slightly different than if I'm showing up in a date situation. So it's so much more vulnerable, and I just don't feel comfortable handing that over. Plus, if they then go stalk my Instagram account, they then get to see everything I do, my whole business, my thought processes, everything I share with my audience, and they've been able to already make a judgment about my business, what I do, my content, without having that conversation with me first. And I want to share that information first with someone that I meet. Like, it is nice sharing that with people that you know, like what you do, what your business is, and I want to be able to share that with someone on our first date. And equally, I want to learn that from someone else. Like, if someone gives me their Instagram, honestly, it sounds awful, but I usually don't check them out. Like, probably, I would say maybe 40% of the time I'll go on their Instagram, but actually I don't really care that much. Like, I really would love to learn about that person in person, and then I'll go and check them out once I get the Instagram, and then fact check what they've told me. Does it match up with what I'm seeing? Yeah, I like to just feel the energy of people as well. So for me, that's a really big boundary. And actually, someone once called me weird. It was a few weeks ago. I matched with a guy and he was like, what's your Instagram? And I usually just try and make a joke out of it and just say like, oh, I don't just hand my Instagram out like to anyone. And he was like, why it's only Instagram? And I was like, I just don't feel comfortable sharing that with someone I haven't met. And he put, well, that's your weird. And anyway, that was it. And we're not aligned, obviously, because there was no respect for that. And there was also someone recently who was pushing me a little bit for Instagram, and I was like, I just don't feel comfortable with that. And they were like, well, I would prefer to talk on there to make sure that you're not a catfish. And I was like, well, I don't feel safe. There's a lot of weirdo guys out there as well, but you can take my WhatsApp number and we can move the conversation there. But yeah, I just think, like, I know men use that excuse of verifying if we're real, but at the end of the day, the minute you create a dating profile online, you're putting yourself at risk of meeting people that aren't real. And I think that's just something we have to accept in this modern day, really. Yeah, I feel like creators also do need that a little bit of extra security. Creators, business owners, everyone's got a personal brand these days, and we need to protect that, especially in the dating world. So actually, I also just want to talk about the positivity from dating apps, because the more conversations I've had, the more I've put myself out there, the more I've tested how I want to show up, how I want to talk, changing my prompts, what works well, what doesn't. I've gained a lot of confidence and I've gained a lot of self-worth, even though I actually haven't been on that many dates, but just exposing myself into that world has really helped my confidence. And my best friend actually says, like, dating is a numbers game, and you know, I think she's kind of right in a way. I think, like, it does prepare you almost for your husband in a way. So I do think it has helped me with my confidence. And because I'm feeling a lot more confident now, I'm able to, like, cut people out, communicate differently with people. I don't get triggered as easily because I've worked on those triggers over time. And the more conversations I've had, the more clarity I've had on what I want and what I don't want, which is very, very important. So I know people like to avoid a lot of these dating apps, but there is so much to be learned from the experience. And actually there is so much positivity around it. I've learned what behavior aligns with me, what behavior drains me. And when I was less confident, everything triggered me, like everything. So I had to work on that confidence a little bit offline first before taking it into the online world. And that was very much just like an internal thing, journaling, therapy, all that sort of jazz. And I do think you have to have some sort of level of emotional readiness to really step onto that dating app. However, to me, honestly, nothing will beat in-person energy. I think that's where I make all my connections. I just cannot portray my incredible personality to the best of my ability on a dating app with just one profile. And I bet so many people feel that same way. So for me, meeting people in real life is always the best thing that I can do. It just feels so much better. It feels so much more natural, authentic. And you can just pick up you on people's body language, vibe, energy, jokiness, tone, the words they use, the language, the tone. And that sometimes can make you attracted to the person as well, which you don't get on the online in the app. And this is why I think it's so important. Dating apps are great, you can use them as a tool, but I think it's very, very important to get off the dating app and meet that person in person as quickly as you can. I don't want to be speaking to someone for a week and developing too much of an emotional bond connection, and then I meet them in person and I've created this image of what I think they're like, and then I meet them in person and they're nothing like what I've created the image in my mind. So I'd rather just meet them in person. We've connected over dating app, cool, there's a connection, let's go explore it. If it goes somewhere, great. If not, back onto the dating app, I guess. And yeah, I love to bounce back with people, and you cannot portray that energy in the same way on an app. However, I do also think like the issue with dating apps is like it's almost we almost treat people as disposable because there's just so much choice. No one in the right mind has the capacity to keep up with endless chats. So naturally, you know, one person is going to spark more of an interest. This person is going to be more good looking. So you might want to initiate the conversation with that person. And we have to kind of then make the decision who stays, who goes. And who knows whether these decisions are right decisions, right? Because we're meeting this person online. So we don't actually know if we'd get on with that person in real life, right? And actually, I honestly feel like I've met so many people in person that I've loved connecting with, and I always wonder like if they were on a dating app, would I have actually connected with them on a dating app? And like you just don't know if you would have, because you don't know how good they are at putting their profile forward, because that's all it is. It's how good you are at selling yourself to people, and some people are great at it and some people just aren't. My advice for women using dating apps at the moment, and maybe men, who knows, is get intentional. How do you want to feel when you use the app? How do you want to feel when you are on the app? If it's draining you, it's probably not the best place for you. You also attract what you put out. So if your profile is literally just pretty 10 out of 10 photos of yourself, selfies that show no essence to what you do behind the scenes in your life, and you have zero prompts, and you're constantly attracting guys and complaining about them, that they don't align, they have no essence, well then no wonder you need to show a little bit more. Like if you were going up for a job interview, you wouldn't just give them photos of yourself, would you? You'd give them more. Your profile is your energy, and you have to portray that, not just in photos, but in text as well. Just give yourself essence. Don't force connections. Do not force connections. If a chat is not going anywhere, it's okay to end that chat. It's okay to tell that person, you know, this isn't aligning with me anymore. I'm not interested. And it's okay to do that. Don't force the connections. Trust your intuition, for goodness sake. I feel like the more I listen to my intuition, the more I connect with it. And yeah, just trust it. Just trust it. If something is off, something's telling you it's off, or this person's not right, it probably, your intuition never lies. Don't chase the bare minimum. Come on, girls. We can do better than that. Protect your boundaries. Know what your boundaries are. Instagram is my boundary. It might not be someone else's. It's mine. And if someone tries to come and attack that boundary, they are not aligned for me. And also, I don't really want to... If someone can't even respect a small boundary like that, at the beginning of the relationship, then I'd hate to think how they show up further down the line. Are they going to respect other boundaries? Use the apps when your mindset is in a good place. If you're in your luteal phase and you feel like a shit, don't use the app. Don't go on it. Give yourself permission to not open it. Why? It's hard because you'll want validation. You will want it all. But yeah, don't. Just have the strength and have the power. Take it as data. Just get into your mind, this is data, this is information, this is for me to learn, and I'm going to learn from this experience. Try and add a little bit of like, it is what it is. Try and add a little bit of that it's not that deep attitude, because I think then you'll enjoy it a little bit more. Apps do not define you. Your energy does, and how you show up and how you portray yourself in those online moments. And the best thing to do is just use apps as a short tool into an entry point, as a connection point, and then get off them and get on in person as quick as you can. Because why waste your time speaking to someone on an app for 2 weeks, you haven't met up in person, and then, like I say, you've created the story, an image of who that person you think they are and the potential they might bring, and they just don't live up to that expectation in real life, whereas you could have found that out a lot sooner. You are allowed to be selective, unfortunately. Like, that is just the reality of days today. People are selective with you, so you can be selective with them. Like, and it is what it is. And yeah, online dating should add to your life and not drain it. If it's draining you, give yourself permission to stop. And also just remember that, like, dating apps are one tool to meet people. They are not the only way to meet people. There are so many other brilliant ways. There's like events, you know, singles events, dating events that you can go to, or just actually getting out of the house, having a hobby, doing something, playing paddle, playing, you know, I don't know, going to a bar, going for a fun night out with your friends, chatting to people. Like, remember, there are endless amounts of ways that you can meet people. Dating apps are just one tool to help you with so many different things, and the apps can help you learn. They can expand your universe, but I do ultimately think that the best connections happen in real life. Yeah, just enjoy it, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. So that brings me to the end. Thank you so much for listening to episode 7 of the Pink Juice Pod. I am so excited. I feel like I'm getting to a really good swing with these episodes, so I'm really excited to continue talking more about these episodes. And thank you so much for listening and watching, and I would love it if you could help me out and just click the subscribe, click the follow button, because it really helps me as a new podcast creator, and I would love to create some more content like this. And if any of this resonated, please make sure to drop me a message of Pink Juice Pod. I would love to connect with you more and just hear your thoughts. And as always, we have an ending ritual at the end of this podcast. At the end of each podcast, I always share something that I've done recently that has allowed me to fill my own cup. So on today's Fill Your Own Cup, what have I been doing recently? Recently, what I have been doing is giving myself the time to like read for like 20 minutes in the morning, either 20 minutes or one chapter of a book, because I feel like reading is something I love to do, but I never make time for it because I'm always just in a rush and I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. And yeah, recently I've been filling my own cup by forcing myself to read. And it sounds quite negative. I don't force myself to read. Obviously, if I'm not in the mood, I don't, but I just that's a better way of putting it. I consciously make the time to read. Yeah, I never read fiction. I always read nonfiction. I always read personal development. Right now I'm reading The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, which is incredible, by the way, really good book.